I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show we have Tony Cheng, General Partner at Foresight Ventures. Tony, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you, Ashton, for having me here.
You're very
Learning a lot
welcome.
about the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to dive into your insights into the industry. I know you've been deep in it. Before we get to Foresight, let's just hear a little bit about yourself, getting into blockchain and in finance, and what has led you up to this point.
Cool. Yeah, no, so I started my career in consulting, so more traditional Web 2 background. I was at Sequoia Capital, China for about 3 years, starting in 2018. That's kind of when I started first getting into crypto, back in 2018, like at the end of the previous bull run.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it was there. I kind of did a lot of like fintech investing, SaaS investing, look, dabbled a bit in blockchain, like early stuff, but given the regulatory situation in China, we didn't really spend too
Mm-hmm.
much time, and the market was really bad in 2018, 2019. So unfortunately, kind of looked too much at Web 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of dove right back into Web3 in 2021. I've been following this space ever since 2018. I look at a lot of like early stage stuff. But in 2021, I was at a hedge fund that wanted to kind of start gaining exposure in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3G Capital. It's a traditional PE fund. They do a lot of mergers and acquisitions, but like we try to get into crypto, but that was also a bit tough there because they're used to kind of larger checks. Crypto was more kind of early stage in 2021. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
new innovation. They couldn't really get their hands get their heads around like investing in early stage, seed stage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so unfortunately that didn't really work out. I joined Foresight right after that. And yeah, and today at Foresight I cover Web3 investing, a lot of early stage projects. We look at anything like we look at any type of project. It could be pre-revenue, it could be
Mm-hmm.
post-revenue, it could have product, it can also not have one. But yeah, we're typically very early stage investors, and we try to do as much as we can to kind of help portfolio companies. Yeah, I'll give a like much deeper background about us. Soon.
That sounds great, Tony, and thank you for that intro. It's great to great to see the progression, and you know, there was a lot of, even through the so-called bear market of 2018, 19. I felt like there was a lot of great Web3 companies that started up and became really large in 2021, and that must have been pretty exciting for you joining in Web3, sort of at the beginning of the bear market there, and then seeing from the bottoms of 2018, 19 up to how quickly it grew in 2021. And, you know, of course, it reversed a little bit after that, but I just feel like the next cycle, as we're working towards it, you know, it's probably not that far away, a couple years, could grow even bigger. Are you going to stick to more Web3 focus throughout this next run, or what are your personal interests in what kind of companies that you're most interested in investing in?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I think in 2018, the conviction levels, for a lot of these institutional funds, right, and even myself, wasn't high enough, because we didn't really see any types of applications of
Mm-hmm.
blockchain apart from like payments, right, apart from like money. And but then we saw DeFi summer in 2021. And I think the next cycle, you'll see tons of like new utilities, functionalities with NFTs as well. Um, 20 yeah, so the bull run from like 2020 2021 was like fungible tokens. I think the next cycle, definitely NFTs will have a much more important role in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But this time around, I think like a lot of institutions, myself included, a lot of traditional Web2 investors, the conviction is so much higher, right? Like you're seeing a
Mm-hmm.
lot of utility in the DeFi space. You're seeing a lot of GameFi where people can actually own gaming assets. You're going to see a lot of like NFT utility, like using NFTs for
Mm-hmm.
coupons, using NFT tickets. So yeah, this time around, I'm sticking to crypto, and we're doing a lot in the investment space today. We're just trying to spend a lot of money incubating companies, investing in companies, and the biggest thing kind of driving that is the conviction in this space, right? Even though you have all this FTX fiasco, you have Binance essentially becoming a monopoly on the market. But definitely, like you see the developer activity, you see the number of people still kind of moving into the space, even with this bear market. It's definitely something very, very positive, in our view. And it's something definitely we're going to be sticking around for.
Great insights, Tony. And yes, throughout 2022, not just with FTX sort of near the end of the year, but with 3AC and Luna and Celsius, and throughout most of this year, it's been chaotic. I'm curious in your perspective from deal flow and more importantly quality deal flow. From what I understand, builders are not stopping building. Doesn't matter where the prices of the assets are going. Are you seeing a reduction in quality deal flow throughout the downtrend in this market, or is it sort of just as normal?
No, I definitely think what we're seeing less talent. Well, not necessarily less talent, but we're seeing less number of projects, right? The number of projects raising funding now versus, let's say, a year ago definitely dropped off a cliff. But today, at least the people that we're speaking with, it feels like they have more conviction. They're at least in it for the longer term versus maybe a year ago where everybody was trying to make a quick buck. Today, like definitely, it's a lot more interesting speaking with some of these founders. But the thing is, like, even though public valuations, like the liquid side, has cratered, a lot of the early stage stuff hasn't really gone down, right? The early stage valuations hasn't really gone down significantly. You're still seeing a lot of seed stage companies where it's pre-product, pre-revenue, just have a deck and they're trying to raise at like 100 million, 200 million. And in this environment, this is something like we're super worried about because during bear markets, the only way to essentially make it back in the bull market is when you can get into valuation, get into companies, get into investment rounds at a much lower valuation, right?
Yeah.
Because the hit rate is going to be significantly lower as well. So yeah, I think like for us, we're seeing less deal flow, but at least the quality of builders has improved significantly. Today we're seeing more builders in it for the longer term, and we're seeing a lot more people kind of trying to build out real utility, leveraging blockchain.
Yeah, I personally like mostly the seed stage, and pre-revenue investments. Of course, there's more risk on trying to find the product market fit and ensuring that the valuation is not too high, right? And I feel like last year, because of the hype, there was a lot of crazy valuations, and now that the hype's faded, but the fundamentals are still there, you can't overvalue. Otherwise, you have to down value or sort of raise at the same valuation for the next round. If depending on the nature of the bear market, if the runway only lasts a couple of years and you have to raise more, you want to make sure that you've added that extra value between now and then to ensure that you can justify an increased valuation in the company.
Yeah, exactly. And today, like so for us, even though what we're seeing a lot of these valuations still kind of hold, right? Because there's still quite a bit of like money in crypto that is still kind of going around. What we've been trying to do to kind of provide the value, trying to get in at a lower valuation is on the incubation side, on the company building side. We're trying to kind of provide more support in those areas. So Foresight Ventures, we have like a really large ecosystem. We have an exchange, which is our main LP called BitGet. We have a decentralized wallet called BitKeep. It has 300,000 DAU, very Asia-centric. It's a super app. It embeds DeFi, NFT trading, and a lot of other kind of dApps into a mobile app. A very super app kind of product. We also have a lot of media presences. We have the number one crypto media in China. It's called Foresight News. We are also invested in a lot of media platforms in Southeast Asia, in Korea, looking at Japan, Turkey, Latin America. So, so for us, given our ecosystem, what we kind of try to help a lot of these projects do is kind of help them build out the Asia side of the business, right? If you want to kind of capture Asian users, we have like all of the tools, we have all of the people, we have all of the kind of functionalities that you can think of that can kind of help you there. And therefore, like that's kind of a way that we've been trying to kind of try to cut down the valuation, right? Like that's an argument for us where we can provide a lot of value that other VCs might not really have, right? We have a tokenomics design team, we have a team of exchange traders, market makers. We have a team that can help you integrate into all types of wallets. We're investors in Wallet Connect, right? Or like so we have a lot of like these tools at our disposal to try to help us get better access, better valuations.
That's great to hear, and I've heard of some of those products as well. I didn't know that was a part of Foresight, so that's awesome to have that kind of expansiveness. And on the incubation side as well, I feel like that's it's like a must-have. You know, if you're already investing in these small companies, you want to be a strategic investor that actually helps them and you know helps your investment as well. At the beginning, you mentioned about DeFi, about GameFi, and NFTs moving into new sectors. I feel like NFTs in finance I've seen a few sort of innovations with that, but you know, moving beyond art into some of these other industries, I feel like that's a huge untapped potential still. Are those sort of the three niche industries that Foresight is focusing on, or where do you see a lot of these new stage startups building in?
Yeah, so we're very like our coverage is very quite broad. We don't have like a specific niche that we really focus on because we have a team of like 10 people. Each covers certain sectors, right? We split the team up by chain coverage and by like niche coverage, right? So what you mentioned, like DeFi, NFT, gaming, these can be covered by different people. But on even different chains, we have like different coverage people as well. So some might cover all of the innovations on Aptos, and this might span all three of these categories. So we have quite a lot of people that helps to kind of cover the entire universe of crypto. But but me personally, I think like I've been spending a lot more time on the NFT side, the application side. So what I mean by this is like we've been looking at what if we can make like NFT indexes, right? Make NFT indexes tradable. Make NFTs trade more like fungible tokens, like FTs. So therefore you unlock a lot more liquidity, you build a much stronger market. These are all kind of innovative products that we've been thinking about at the exchange, at the wallet, and Foresight, which is more on the investment side. We look at projects that can help us kind of achieve these goals, and then we bring them together, try to build like strategic investments with them, and kind of help them build out that product, leverage our users, get users onto using that, and see if we can kind of scale it from there.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the building more liquidity for NFTs, and I'm curious about the nature of the NFTs, and if you think that's important. For example, we've seen the profile picture NFTs and the digital art that the ones that have more liquidity, but they have a floor price of 100,000, or in the bull market a few 100,000. Are those the kind of NFTs that if you can tokenize those and make them more fungible to allow millions of people to trade a single NFT versus one person that needs to find a few $100,000 to buy it?
Well, I think that's a great question. This is it's a topic we've often discussed internally as well, right? Because like for these really expensive PFPs, what like one of the core values is its scarcity, right? And if you make it and if you allow it to be kind of purchased by anybody, that kind of reduces the value there. It's kind of like if you're looking at a Chanel bag or something, right? Or a piece of really exotic art. So for us, like when we were thinking about like making NFTs more tradable, we were thinking more around like, let's say, gaming assets, potentially, or more kind of larger scale NFT kind of applications or NFTs. Um, for these specific like super expensive NFTs, we were thinking more around like what Party DAO is doing, allow people to kind of crowdfund an NFT, right? Buy it with a few friends, but not make it like tradable for all masses, because that kind of defeats the value of like a PFP, right?
That's a great
But I
point.
think but for the next cycle, I definitely think like PFPs won't be the only kind of NFT innovation. It's just a matter where we see like more NFT usages.
I agree. And obviously GameFi and just making a lot of in-game items, NFTs, is part of that next step. I'm still interested in the finance side, but on the gaming side, are you at Foresight investing in some of these larger game studios that are actually building out full-fledged Call of Duty level games, where eventually we're expecting that the games that come into Web3 are going to be so great that they're going to bring in millions of new people into Web3, similar to a AAA game studio, and everything will be NFTs inside of that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a thesis that we've kind of invested around. But the thing is, like for these AAA games, you have to give them time, right? I think over the kind of past cycle, everybody kind of didn't really have that patience. For a lot of these AAA games, like we invested in Exterio, there's this team spun out from Fun Plus, which is a really strong like team in China that kind of does like overseas gaming. We invested in quite a few other gaming projects as well, looking at a lot of studios. But I think like you have to really have patience. I don't really think a lot of these games will really be able to deliver in the next year or so, right? Especially AAA. You have to
Yeah,
spend quite a bit of time tweaking everything, making everything work well. If you look at all of these like Call of Duty type level games, they've been built for like 3 or 4 years, right?
definitely.
Grand Theft Auto is like an 8 or 9 year type game. So yeah, I think like it's definitely you kind of have to have patience for a lot of these games. So at the same time, like while we're investing in a lot of these AAA games, we're also looking quite a bit into the casual side of gaming as well. Because our view is that a lot of these casual games, like if you think about Angry Birds, right? If you think about some of these casual games that blew up in the Web2 space, they're really good at onboarding users as well, right? So, and if you add tokenomics into that, that's just kind of another lever that you can really pull to acquire users. So, yeah, so a lot of these casual games, their development periods are much shorter. If you can find something that is viral, that can really gather a lot of interest. I definitely think that's a really good way to kind of kickstart the GameFi user acquisition as well. And that's something we're definitely super interested in.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Tony. And I've seen, there's a huge rise in casual games, especially in the last couple of years, with people on their phones and having more free time at home to just play and not want to commit to their whole lives to playing one of these, RPGs that sucks them in for days at a time. But just playing for 20 minutes or 10 minutes a day on their phone, I feel like casual games and integrating Web3 and NFTs into that will definitely be a huge play. And do you think, first of all, I agree with you about the large games, and that it takes a long time. I've seen some of these game studios have like 50 to 100 people working on it, and they're looking at delivering the game in like 3 years to 4 years. And the narrative came up that these large games were going to be delivering NFTs. In 1 year, everyone expected all the games to be ready and NFTs to explode, and it just doesn't work like that. It's such a huge project, and I also feel the importance of making the gameplay and forget about the NFT side, makes the game actually good and not just a front for trading NFTs. We've seen some of the early stages like Axie Infinity or something that has some Ponzi-nomics or great token integration into it, where people are actually there for the token. They're not actually there to play the game. And I feel like those sort of fall apart, after the people have made a lot of money and then they start dumping it. And then if the price of the token or the profitability of playing it goes down, people weren't actually playing it for the game. They were just playing it to get tokens.
Yeah, exactly. I think like the next cycle is probably not going to be like play to earn. It's probably going to be like play and earn, right? You're going to have like a lot of really good gameplay, and you can couple in the fact that you can earn kind of a bit of cash on the side. Because ultimately, like for crypto, like if you don't have any earn aspect to it, you're not going to get any users either, right? Because like we have to be honest with ourselves. Like a lot of people in crypto, like especially the retail crowd in Southeast Asia, in a lot of these emerging market countries, they're in it for the money. And the gameplay often comes second. But the next cycle, if you can get like gameplay kind of up to 90-80% of what we expect in Web 2, then the earn aspect, then coupled with the earn aspect, like you get a much better experience, right, for everybody coming into playing games.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And in 2023, what do you think in terms of projects actually releasing into the mainstream? I saw a lot of great projects that I was following in 2022 that delayed their releases because of the market conditions. And from what I'm looking at with the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, it's only been 1 year since the all-time high, and I don't think it's going to be a V-shaped recovery in 2023. I don't think it's going to go completely sideways. I think there will definitely be positive sentiments and movement in the market. But are you expecting some projects to, that delayed their market launches to start launching in 2023? And do you think the deal flow will increase from this past year?
Yeah, so a lot of our portfolio all delayed launching tokens. They were supposed to kind of launch in Q4, Q1 next year. They pretty much all delayed by at least 6 months, mainly due to market conditions. Our internal view is that this bear market will still kind of be there for a while. I think the earliest, like the most optimistic view on our team is 2024, maybe Q2. But in the meantime, right, in the next year or so, you're still going to have a lot of people building. You're going to see a lot of like spikes in trading activities due to like certain one-off events, right? When the Fed might start easing, when China, so something happens in China, something happens in Binance, or some like big news event. But for us, like timing the market has never been easy. Our view is that as long as you see interesting teams, you see founders that are really kind of long-term oriented, you see products that are really solving an interesting problem, it's definitely worthwhile to invest even in a bear market. And for us, I think we're going to focus quite a bit on applications, things that can really kind of build crypto adoption, because we think for the next cycle, if you want to still get new retail into crypto, get users that actually use blockchain for true utility, you need to build something interesting, right? That really leverages the value of having tokens versus what Web 2 can already achieve.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I feel like just continuing to, have good products that come out and they find new ways to generate value for people in the real world. I think that's very important. Investing them in a bear market, you're actually getting a better deal, and,
Exactly.
and as long as the team and the vision checks out and you have conviction that he's going to make it to the market and he's going to help people, you don't have that bull market premium where you're paying twice as much because people just want to throw money at companies. So I feel like this is the best time moving into 2023 to stay focused on the market and to invest into the good companies.
Exactly. It's so much easier to get allocation as well. And during these times, it's interesting because what a lot of these founders are looking for as well in an investor is the ability to kind of help right? On the strategy side, on the
Mm-hmm.
operations side, the market making side, on the advice, on tokenomics. Um, I think like right now, what we've built in the past year or so, really puts us in a good position for
Mm.
the next few years. We don't really have like capital issues, so we never
Mm-hmm.
really had pressure on raising capital because
Mm-hmm.
our single LP has been super supportive. But I think because our LP is also very long-term oriented,
Mm-hmm.
they're able to kind of help us along the way, take a very long-term oriented look. We don't have to kind of exit in 3 or 4 years. We can take like a 5 to 8 year vision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you kind of really see, like you open up your mind to like what is really possible, right? You're able to kind of think deeper, think longer,
Mm-hmm.
and just allow innovation to happen.
Mm-hmm. I love that, and I always say in my talks that the smart investors have very long-term investment horizons, and we often see, especially when it's a retail investor that's just starting his first investments, hears about crypto and wants to get rich by tomorrow. Their investment horizon is so short that
Yep.
it's not going to happen, or they're going to make mistakes, or they're going to buy at the top, and then their perceived horizon was a month, and a month later it's down. So I think staying in it long term, through multiple cycles even,
Yeah.
is definitely the way to win. So I'm excited to look towards 2023 and see what Foresight Ventures is doing and investing in. I would love to follow along with your team. Is there a way for the viewers to either take a look at some of the portfolios, or if there's companies that are watching, to see about the incubation and the advisory, and how they can get involved in Foresight?
Yeah, so we have a website, foresightsventures.com. Um, our portfolio is all there. You can also email us, foresightven@gmail.com,
Mm-hmm.
FORESIGTVEN@gmail.com, which is our kind of external email to kind of allow people to send in incubations, send in decks, all of that. So yeah, we also have a Discord channel.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of ways to kind of contact us. A lot of incubation projects what we're looking at, and investment side, we're super active as well.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great, Tony. And I will leave those links to the email and the Discord and the platform in the description box below. Thank you so much for your insights into the industry, and you're giving me hope for the great projects to come out in the next year and two. I know there will be a lot of them. It's just keeping your eyes open. So I appreciate the time, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thank you, Ashton, for having me. It's great speaking.